Good day, everybody. I'm looking at Facebook right now, and I'm seeing a lot of the posts and comments about you have to show your vaccine card, prove that you're vaccinated in Minneapolis and St. Paul to go into any businesses or restaurants. Here's the thing. So if I grab my brother's vaccine card and I show it there, they're going to be like, okay, that's cool. No, you got to show your ID with it, right? So the vax mandate thing is from the Democrats, right? They're pushing for it. Biden, we just saw his speech. He's pushing for it, right? Well, if you don't show your ID, you don't know that that card belongs to that person, right? So you want to make sure it's a valid representation of that person's vaccine status, right? Okay, let's talk about voting. Now, this is to go to a restaurant, not to vote. I mean, you go to a restaurant, you go to a store, if you live in Minneapolis, which is laden with minority communities, right? They're more concentrated towards Minneapolis and St. Paul, right? The cities. So if the Democrats are pushing for vax mandates, which you have to show your ID to prove that it's valid to be your card, that's racist by their description. Because if they're saying that you don't have to show your ID because you're suppressing minority voters, like they can't get a fucking ID, that's demeaning them as a group of people. If you're saying minorities can't get an ID, there's plenty of time before the elections. The last election, it's done, right? So for the next election, hey, get your ID. Or if you're gonna go, if you live in Minneapolis and St. Paul now, you should have your ID already. If you want to go to the grocery store, if you want to go to a restaurant and do any of that to prove that that vaccine card is your vaccine card, right? So by definition, the Democrats are pushing a racist mandate. By their definition, not mine, not Republicans, not independents, not libertarians. By Democrat definition, the vax mandates are racist. By their definition, not mine. I don't see it to be racist at all. I think it's BS, vax mandates. If you're scared about getting COVID, you get vaccinated. Obviously, people can still have it, carry it, and transmit it if they've been vaccinated 3-4 times, right? So there's still a risk to somebody that's been vaccinated too, because you can still pass it, right? So it's not like the big threat is the people that are unvaccinated. That's their issue. And yes, the hospitals might get flooded, especially if we just let this go and everybody gets Omicron. Some people get really sick. You know, the people already have pre-existing conditions and all that jazz. I'm going too long. I just want to do a quick video. I think the mandates in Minneapolis and St. Paul are crap. And that's what I see a lot of you guys saying too. But the angle I took at 3:30 this morning was thinking, you know what, that's racist by the Democrats' definition. Because you can claim voter suppression if you're requested or you need to show your ID when you vote. That's racist. It's suppressive to the minority community. Then what does that do to your vax mandate? Because you vote once every 4 years, once every 2 years, whatever, you know, depending on what you're voting on. So is it that big a deal to have your ID ready to go when it's time to vote? If it's important to you, you're going to get it done. If going to grab a sandwich at Subway is important to you and you have to show your ID, then voting is much more important. As an American citizen, I think it's a responsibility of yours to get your ID.